Jalen Hurts in concussion protocol. Kenneth Walker questionable for week number 17, which means Zach Charbonnet may be called upon, but didn't get any work really at all last week. So it's a conundrum that you might be in, a dilemma of sorts, which we can try and help you out as you walk into championship week. We've got JD5 breaking news. JD5 is him. If you didn't know, we got the countdown to the Saints and Green Bay Packer game on the frozen tundra, and it looks cold when you breathe out. It's ice cold smoke like a dragon coming out of your mouth. You can't think of a better situation than a game like this, in my opinion. Late in December, the cold weather games, I love it. Especially when players like Jordan Love are playing in their backyard. But will it be a low-scoring game regardless because of the weather? We'll break down the Monday Night Football game as we count down. We'll take your super chats if you have any. We'll talk some JD5, some Kenneth Walker, some Zach Charbonnet, some Jalen Hurts, some Kyler Murray, some 49er news that we got on the offensive line. Prayers up to Tank Dell, who tore his ACL and dislocated his knee. Just a devastating injury. We've got Zay Flowers news. We got NFL draft order for the top 10 projected right now. That show begins right now. File on in.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios.
It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live!
Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com news desk, here is your breaking news.
Here we are. And if you didn't know, JD5 is basically him.
He's a 5. JD5 is the only 5. JD5 is him, and now all can see. He graduated from Himothy University. Unleash the Washington Kraken. JD5 to Saturn
And beyond.
to Saturn.
And beyond.
Supernova.
JD5 is such a monster. We'll talk about JD5 in a second. Let's get to the news that's relevant right now to this game. We've got some inactives, Packers inactives tonight for the Saints game. We're looking at Jair Alexander as the big name you got to consider being out and what that could spell in terms of potentially Saints production. Bottom, excuse me. My cough is almost gone, by the way, from the flu. It's still lingering, but it's barely there. Saints inactives for tonight's game. Green Bay for the Green Bay Packer game include Derek Carr, MVS, and Alvin Kamara. And you got to think Alvin Kamara is this close to being shut down for the year if it's not already decided behind closed doors, projected by some people. Really hard to know what in the hell is going to go on here, but another disappointing ending for Alvin Kamara. He screwed people last year in week 17. I'm one of those individuals that had him starting, and he sat the entire second half. Your boy was in position to win $30,000, and him and Christian McCaffrey both sat the second half of week 17. Absolutely screwed your boy. So McCaffrey failed 2 years in a row. Absolutely crapped the bed 2 years in a row, and so did Alvin Kamara. Even though they got you here, you got other players that could step up and play, but not in the middle of a game when somebody gets benched at halftime. So it is what it is, but Kamara, we'll see what we think of him in 2025. I mean, he'll be 30 years old. Ziggy, how old is Alvin Kamara? I think 30 years old next year. Ziggy, how old is Alvin Kamara? You son of a...
Alvin Kamara is 29 years old and was born on July 25th, 1995.
Ziggy, volume 10. Yeah, July 25th. So he'll be 30 years old. And, he's one of those players that has less mileage than the average bear between the tackles. But, it's Christian McCaffrey-esque volume. And the volume's been so crazy that it is hard for me to envision him playing a full 17-game season. And it's even harder for me, given the 2 years he's failed us now in week 17 and even more this year than last year, to expect him to be there when you need him in week number 17 and 16 and 15 next year. So especially after another full season of playing at 30 years old, he just signed a new contract. What will the Saints do at RB? They're going to get a dose of Kendre Miller, a.k.a. McMiller, tonight, see what he does. What's his future look like with this team? Will they maybe not draft a running back at all if Kendre Miller has a day? It's got, they got the weather implications. It's going to be cold as hell. Both teams will probably try and run quite a bit. If I had to project, probably getting about 10 points from Kendre Miller tonight. I don't know that you're getting what a 2-touchdown, 500-yard game, but you might get 80 yards and a touch in this one. You could get 100 total yards and a touch in this one with this type of weather if the Saints can stay in it. If they can't stay in it, then guess what? They can't run the ball, and he's got to do all of his work, if not more than half of his work, through the air and catch a touchdown pass. So it depends on how quickly this game can get out of hand in the backyard of the Green Bay Packers. Look at these monsters right here. These are the big performers for this Sunday, this past Sunday's games. As we close out Week 16, what a remarkable group! Very much smashed a majority of almost everything from the major show picks and players, and especially some of these guys from preseason. Absolute amazing week. Congrats to everybody that advanced. Sucks for anybody that didn't, but we're starting 2025 content right now. This is your news for the game right here. We've got Tank Dell, as I mentioned. Tank Dell tore his ACL and dislocated his knee. It's going to be a tough recovery this late in the season. Probably not going to be anywhere near 100% starting the season out. We'll see what this offense is made of without any sort of wide receiver help. What did they do? What do they do? Now they did bring in Deontay Johnson. Let me see if I can find that news here. I got the clipping here. But how quickly will he get versed? I like Deontay a little bit in this offense, but not a ton. If Tank Dell can't get targets, can Deontay? I don't know. We'll see what Stroud's made of in the final weeks here. Stroud did fall apart during the game. Couldn't keep his focus really, even when Dell went down. And you got to be able to do that. I know he's emotional, but you got to be able to do that. You got to be able to step up and be a leader. And Stroud has crapped the bed all year long. Stroud has not been he's been in his own head. He hasn't been there mentally, and he completely broke down in the game. And it didn't show to me that this guy has the makings of what we thought he did walking into the season. Coming off his rookie year, he's had a horrible sophomore year. Just lost his best friend, just lost his second wide receiver, and he couldn't even keep it together, and I just don't, right now, I don't see him as a monster quarterback option of the future unless he can pull it all together. We'll see what he does in the playoffs. His team's still atop the division, which is really wild when you think about it. And we'll see what he can do in the final weeks. It was wild to me how tore up, mentally he was. He wasn't able to keep his composure. And people could come out and say, Smitty, that's callous of you and shallow of you to be like, oh, his best friend just got... Do you know how many people get hurt every single day in football? I don't care. A lot of people's best friends are on the team and they get injured. He absolutely broke down. And I'm not so much suggesting that you can't show the emotion, and have tears in your eyes, whatever. But he literally broke down and he couldn't contain himself. He couldn't get back in a groove, and he just collapsed on the field mentally. I just don't know what's in store for him. I mean, he had such a bad year, and to kind of end the season in a way, the fantasy football season for a lot of people that way, it was, it was wild to me. Deontay Johnson being claimed off waivers by the Texans, who now need a wide receiver bad. We'll see what he does. No one should be picking him up and starting him. Anything could happen. He could catch a touchdown, on Sunday, like Amari Cooper did the first time he went out there on the field for the Buffalo Bills. Anything's possible, but you can't count on him. Tank Dell, don't count on him entering 2025. maybe later in the season as a freebie off waivers or late in a draft, and then you put him on IR. There's a lot of different scenarios that we could think up where he would be a good play or a good pick. Never picking Stroud ever again, says Joseph. I don't blame you, bro. And again, I'm not trying to say. Travis said, "Yeah, that's an odd reaction, making Caleb look like an alpha." Look, I want to make it abundantly clear that emotions are okay. Some of you guys don't know how to have this conversation. You know, I feel like a lot of people walk on eggshells in this industry. A lot of people walk on eggshells in sports media. A lot of people walk on eggshells everywhere. I don't really walk on eggshells. When Damar Hamlin went down and everybody was just sitting there going, yeah, we can't talk about fantasy now. This is football. This is fantasy football. This is stupid. This is just, this is a game. It's more important what's going on in the field. Not me. And you could say I'm shallow and callous. I can chew gum and walk at the same time. We did a live stream, very respectful, and stayed live talking about him, prayers up. We kept saying, feed the prayers, feed the prayers, feed the prayers. Okay? But I'm not about to come out here and go, my job's irrelevant right now. My job's not important. All your fantasy teams are not important. And everybody just shut up, walked on eggshells, zipped their lip, towed the line. You know, and I feel like there's too much of that going on nowadays. Like, you should be able to chew gum and walk at the same time. And for people to act like we couldn't talk about fantasy the next hour on my show, not on my watch. We talked about fantasy right away. Some people said, Smitty, I can't believe you're even going live tomorrow after Damar Hamlin's situation. Why not? I'm going to go live. We'll throw prayers out there. Let's make sure we continue to feed that in his direction, but we can chew gum and walk at the same time. My job's still important. Your game of fantasy football is still important. All the dollars you put into it. Damar Hamlin had nothing to do with that. So, here's the thing. I don't walk on eggshells. Okay? Crying's okay. I've said this before. Caleb Williams crying is not a problem. Brandon Ayuk, I believe, cried during the Super Bowl when they lost. Jordan cried and hugged the trophy when they won. Crying's not a problem. But there is a time and place for it. There is a time and place for it. And there's a way to do it. And there's a way, when you look at it, there's a way that it comes off that I think is something you have to look at and take in. Some people are uncomfortable talking about it. But this guy lost control of his emotions as the leader of the team. Imagine being in a foxhole, okay? Imagine you're in a foxhole like this. You're in a foxhole like this, and you look over at your Sarge, and you say, Sarge, are we going over the hill? And Sarge is just bawling his eyes out. What are you gonna do? That's all I'm saying. It's such a tough topic. It really is, because people get so bent out of shape. They can't have these conversations. They're so trained to toe the line. They're so trained to walk on eggshells. They're so trained not to have these brutal conversations of, did CJ Stroud show leadership when Tank Dell went down? People go down all the time. His best friend doesn't matter. You're commanding a team, and you crumbled. You absolutely lost your emotions. And your vibe, everything went out the window. You can say whatever you want. I'm not suggesting crying's bad. A lot of people said they cried when JT ran his third touchdown in. Okay? You see me on here in a live stream when JT plugged in the third touchdown against me, where I'm just like, I lost it. No, you didn't. George Pickens' hamstring was upgraded to full participant. That might bring a tear to some of your eyes, and that's okay. That's okay. Jalen Hurts is in the concussion protocol. This is not good. Could I see him playing? I could. I definitely could see this thing getting ushered along. That's the way these things work, the political side of this. I don't know. We'll see what happens. He wanted to go back in the game. Once the concussion occurred, he went into the tent. He came out. It looked like he was going to rush back in the field, put his helmet on. He looked like he was, like, getting busy. Like, where are we at? What down are we at? Like, catch me up on what's going on. Like, he looked like he was getting ready to be shoved back out on the field. And then he didn't come back out, and now he's in concussion protocol. we'll have to see what's what, but this definitely crushed a lot of people. Most people that had Hurts, I'd say like 50% of them lost the game because of it. Because this is an early draft pick. This is a third rounder. And that doesn't scare me away from drafting third round quarterbacks by any means. Kyle Shanahan said that left tackle Trent Williams will not play the team's final 2 games. He might even hang it up after this. I mean, the guys, reached out to former players about longevity. How do you keep it going? He's clearly struggling to stay healthy, and he's not like in the best shape to weather through knee injuries and things like that. Carrying a lot of weight like that as a bigger offensive lineman, your knees really take a brunt. And it's tough. So I don't know. The Niners are also down like their entire offensive line practically. They're on second and third string offensive linemen. And so this bodes badly for the rushing attack, which is, it's been struggling. Obviously, Patrick Taylor did not deliver. Guerendo, there's thought that Guerendo could be back. Guerendo might be back for this game. He's got enough speed and explosiveness to maybe overcome this type of offensive line situation. And no one's calling him Barry Sanders. I'm just saying, think about Barry Sanders versus Emmitt Smith. If you put Barry in that Dallas Cowboy offensive line situation back in the day, everyone says he would have blown Emmitt Smith out of the water. There's something to a speedy back having kind of a makeshift in okay offensive line. You sometimes have the ability to pop one out to the outside when you have a cluster and a majority of those defensive linemen breaching the offensive line. They're deep into the territory where you are. Your shiftiness, your ability to pop to the outside leaves you like an wide open rushing lane. So my point is, if anybody can overcome the offensive line troubles, it would be Guerendo, not Patrick Taylor. It would be Guerendo, not another player. So there's some intrigue there in Patrick Taylor this week, but there's also a lot of risk, and anybody that gives me a Guerendo question this week is going to get an earful about risk, because I mean, the Niners look like trash, and their offensive line is non-existent right now. Absolutely non-existent. Cardinals coach Jonathan Gannon said Kyler will not be rested in Arizona's final 2 games of the season, but does it matter? This guy's garbage. This guy's garbage. They need to trade him. I think some team will take him. I don't know what the Cardinals would do if they traded him. They have to have a plan. Maybe they draft a rookie. Maybe they draft Ewers. Maybe they trade up. Maybe because the NFL draft order as of right now, it's kind of interesting. The Giants and the Raiders would not trade out of the 1 or 2 pick. They most certainly are going Shedeur or Cam Ward. But look at all the teams in between the Raiders and the Giants at number 1. There's a lot of opportunity to say, hey, we're the Arizona Cardinals. New England, we'll give you multiple first-round picks to move, or 1 first-round pick and a second to move down from 2 to the Cardinals, pick. Or 2 first-rounders and do some sort of second-round swap, whatever. But, hey, New England, give us your number 2 overall pick. New England's going to trade down. If New England finished at number 2, they're not drafting at number 2 because that's a QB spot. Jacksonville, they may not have as much power because Cam and Shedeur are probably going 1 and 2, but you potentially could try and make that move. But anybody that the New England Patriots trade with is probably going to go Shedeur or Cam. They're trading up for the quarterback. That 1 and 2 pick are quarterback selections. They have more value. They hold more value. And if you tried to trade up to the Jaguars pick and go, I'm going to get Cam or I'm going to get Shedeur Sanders, yeah, this is going to be great. You're not. Somebody's going to look at you and go, oh, Arizona, let's move above. And New England is getting out of that spot if they are there. If they're in 3 or 4 or 5, maybe they go wide receiver. But at 2, they're trading down. Even if they trade down to LV to get, let's say they go after Hunter. They go after Hunter or they go after, they figure out a way to just get down to this. This would be perfect. If LV's lagging behind a little bit and they're nowhere near the 2 spot, but they're not super far away, this is a move for New England. New England and LV will be making a trade. Now, will New England stay at the 2 spot? Hard to say. Will Jacksonville jump up? Will Tennessee jump up? Will Cleveland jump up? All I know is if I'm the Cardinals, I'm trading Kyler Murray away, and then I'm trading multiple first-round picks, whatever I got to do to go get Shedeur or Cam Ward. That's how I would fix the Arizona Cardinals. That's how I would mature along MHJ. That's how I would invest in MHJ, because MHJ is an investment. and you're not investing in things that help support him and vault him up. If you think MHJ is not a top 5 caliber wide receiver in the National Football League from a talent perspective, you're not paying attention. And if you think that he's going to be fine next year with Kyler, you're also not paying attention. This is a double-edged sword. There's good and bad to all these different angles. There's risk involved unless you do get the 1 or 2 pick. Or let's say you get the 2 pick and then Cam Ward or Shedeur suffer some catastrophic injury. There's risk involved in the 2 pick. Not in the 1 pick. There's risk involved in the 2 pick. Not a lot of risk involved in the 2 pick, but it is what it is. We got a super chat here. Thoughts on the Cardinals backfield? I think, at Connor's ripe age of turning 30 in 2025, I can't draft him next year high, but where is he going to go? And can you cuff him to Benson? Probably they do lean on Benson as their future. I think because of Connor's injury here at the end of the season, and we'll see if he, how bad it is or how long it keeps him out. But Connor, if he, let's say he missed the final 2 games or missed 1 game or played badly in the final 2 games because he's banged up, you'll be able to get him cheaply. If Connor goes crazy and even, well, this final game really, but I mean, week 18 still showcasing a little bit for fantasy. I don't know. They might just shut him down. It's hard to know. But if Connor finishes great, then he'll cost more, and I probably won't be in. If Connor doesn't finish good at all, he'll probably be similar to like Mostert. Remember, Mostert finished with 20-plus touchdowns in 2023. He was barely drafted in 2024, coming off a 20-plus touchdown season. It's not crazy to think that just because Connor had such a good season that people will draft him higher. They know he's 30 years old. So I don't know how that backfield's going to shake out, but I know Benson's still the guy for the future. Kyler won't be rested. I suppose it's some semi-good news if you don't have any other quarterback options, but damn. Kenneth Walker, ankle, did not participate in Monday's estimated practice report. We'll know more tomorrow. Estimated stuff is hard. It's really not. Mondays are really tough to really gauge much on some of these injuries, but if I had to guess right now, and this is a total guess, I think he sits week 17. I think Zach Charbonnet plays well, and we put him in the lineup for the most part. Again, this is the Tank Dell news. Dislocated knee, torn ACL. Prayers up to Tank Dell. Awful news. Probably will not be ready to rumble. I already mentioned this, that the Houston Texans picked up Deontay Johnson. We'll see what Stonehands can do in Houston. If he's getting the Tank Dell lobs, it wasn't until this last game that Tank Dell connected with our boy, but it didn't look good all year. Mike McCarthy, Jerry Jones declined to comment on the future of his head coach, Mike McCarthy, after his Week 16 win. However, he did comment. I don't know why this report says it like that, because maybe when he was asked a specific question, but he did compliment Mike McCarthy's coaching, and he said, the reason that they're playing at such a high level and we're able to overcome and win that game in Week 16 was because of coaching and because of Mike McCarthy getting the team ready to go. I think if Mike McCarthy, it much depends on these last 2 games. If Mike McCarthy can have this team winning and they fight for him, which is great if you have CeeDee Lamb, it's great if you have Dowdle, you know that they're going to go out there and this is what's great about fantasy football. People predict, even myself, there's concern about CeeDee sitting, right? He's going to think business. But then you have this head coaching situation going on where the team is fighting for their coach. They want Coach Mike McCarthy back, so they're all going to war for him. Now all of a sudden, CeeDee Lamb is safe. He's not going to sit Week 16 because unless the injury gets worse, he's got multiple injuries, but he's fighting for his head coach. His shoulder is what I'd worry about the most. And honestly, if I was Jerry, I'd shut him down. It's so funny that they're all dancing and parading themselves around for Jerry Jones because they need Jerry to say, Mike, I want you back and show me what you got to do in these next 2 games, instead of a logical GM or owner of a team saying, hey, I know what you can do. I'm bringing you back, or I know what you can do, but you're not doing it. I'm not bringing it back. I don't need you breaking my wide receiver, CeeDee Lamb, in the process. I'm not saying, I know you CeeDee Lamb owners out there like, Smitty, shut up. I need CeeDee Lamb out there. And I agree with you from a fantasy perspective, but from an NFL perspective, which we do cover on this channel too, you're crazy throwing CeeDee Lamb out there with that shoulder injury. For what? So Jerry can feel a little better about himself and that he didn't screw up the season all that much? I got news for you, Jerry. These wins do nothing. They do nothing but hurt the draft capital situation you got going on here at 12 overall. You want to keep winning and drive this pick down, Jerry? Jerry doesn't know what in the hell he's doing. CeeDee Lamb's a dog, though. CeeDee Lamb's a dog.
Get lambed.
Like, Lamb is out there just toughing through it. Lamb is a dog.
Get lambed.
Drop a lamb emoji. But from a football perspective, Jerry's crazy. JD5 or Allen next week for the championship. I think we got to wait on the Josh Allen injury update, but you can't sit Josh Allen. You can't sit JD5 either. The answer is, Byron, you should have made a trade at some point. Good Lord, bro. You had a golden ticket, a Willy Wonka golden ticket at one point to get rid of, to go get whatever you want, a Bentley, whatever you want. You sat on it. We'll go over this later. I don't know that I have an answer for you yet. I'm not shutting the door on the idea of playing JD5 over Josh Allen, but Josh Allen brings a whole lot of damn security to the table, and the Falcons D's playing pretty good right now. Like there's something to that. I'm not saying that you don't consider it. We love both these guys. Both these guys are absolute marvels. Okay, but you got this game is in Washington, which is nice. So Atlanta at Washington, JD5, and then we got our boy Josh Allen at home versus the New York Jets. It's kind of a tough matchup too. So it's man, I don't know. This is tough. Man, I don't know. Slat says I cook with the Debo call. Yeah, I mean, look, Debo was a risky play, but you knew Shanny was going to try and up his value to trade him. Let's address this later in the week with the Josh Allen update. You know what I mean? Once we know Josh Allen's good to go or still pretty banged up, we'll have a little bit more. But JD5's remarkable, bro. They're both absolute 1 and 2 overall quarterback plays. Or you can put Lamar in there, obviously. The top 3. Josh Allen, Lamar, and JD5 are top 3 QB plays. Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel says, I don't know exactly what it will look like when asked if Jalen Waddle's knee practicing this week. Jalen Waddle, I imagine, is not going to play week 17. If he did, he'd probably just get hurt. I don't know that I'd play him coming back from the injury anyway. Interim head coach, the Brickmeister, said that he wants to find ways to get Garrett Wilson the football. That's good. That's nice to hear after Garrett Wilson sharded the bed in week 16, and a lot of people won't be able to benefit from that. But yeah, Brick, go ahead and try and get a top 5 to 10 wide receiver the football. That would be a smart maneuver. And Njoku suffered a knee injury in week 16, among other injuries he has. The guy can't stay healthy. I'm not going to be too high on him next year because he just can't stay healthy. Patrick Mahomes says he thinks his ankle should be in a better place in week 17 against the Steelers. That's good news. This offense is getting to a point where it's not the same. You can't talk about like when people say, hey, Mahomes hasn't done this in this long. You can't do that anymore. This is a different team. Oh, the Chiefs are barely going to score. You can't do that anymore. This is a different team. Hollywood Brown, Pacheco, these are 2 big components to any team. You throw Hollywood and Pacheco on the Buffalo Bills, nobody stops them. Nobody. They're the best team in the National Football League. These are 2 very good pieces. We cannot call the Chiefs offense the same offense we've seen all year long. It's completely different. The switch will be flipped, and everybody's going to be confused as hell as to how this production carries over to next year because Mahomes will look different, and people are going to go, what do I do? What do I do? I'm confused. He played bad all year. Now he's playing great in the playoffs. He had no weapons. He lost Rashee Rice, a top 5 wide receiver, which we called on this channel. We called Rashee Rice. It got taken from us.
Let him cook.
It got taken from us. People forget how good of a call that was. People forget how amazing of a call that would have been at the end of the year. Rashee Rice would have been one of our top 5 overall predictions this year. Zay Flowers did not practice on Monday. It's Monday again. There's a lot of walkthroughs and estimations. Don't worry about it too much. Chargers coach Jim Harbaugh said they're designating J.K. Dobbins to return. Could be next week that he comes back, though. It could be this week, but it could be next week. It's more of the window. Usually wait a week. Aaron Rodgers on Pat McAfee spoke about coming back and taking a pay cut, or wherever he goes taking a pay cut, and essentially, tutoring a rookie wide receiver. I think he's more so pleading for New York Jets. Like, hey, go draft, go bring somebody in, bring in Fields, whatever. And I'll take a pay cut just to stay and try and tutor and mentor somebody. That would be interesting if Aaron Rodgers would do that. But I don't know. I think he'd be great as a backup, though, because, like, if your quarterback goes down, you get to throw Aaron Rodgers in there. That's not bad. But I would want, like, Fields and A-Rod together. That's not horrible. Swift, Pollard, Spears, or Dobbins next week. Probably going to go Spears, bro. And I don't know that Dobbins is going to play in week 17. Like I said, he might come back the following week. He'll definitely be there for the playoffs, but I don't know about this coming week. We got the countdown going on over here. Let's see here. Do we have how much time do we have left before this game kicks off? What do we got? Is the game going already? I didn't even have it up. What time is it? Holy crap. We got a whole we played a whole quarter and I haven't even known it? Thanks for telling me. Here I am doing the news for you guys. You didn't even tell me you started. I had the freaking ESPN on and they were doing pregame and it switched back over and here I am. I missed the whole quarter. What's been going on? Green Bay, who scored? I don't even be reading the chat. I've just been going at it like crazy here. Look at me. Unbelievable. 5 minutes left in the first quarter. Haven't even seen anything. What am I doing back there? Who caught that touchdown pass? Wicks? Wicks caught it? I got to rewatch the first quarter. Holy shit. Jacobs, 33 yards. Not bad. Rattler, 1 of 2. Kendre Miller, 2 for 4. God, that's insane. I'm just going at the news. I have no idea that the game even started. How many people we got in here? 227. No wonder the dip down, the views dip down. I should have known. Love in the gun. Oh, nice little trick play for a first down. Direct snap. Who was that to? Was that to Jacobs or was that to Reed or who was that? To the fullback. Jeez, man. That's wild. Doing waivers tonight? Probably, Travis. Yeah, calling after the game, we'll do waivers. That's so funny. That's happened to me. That's happened to me before. I think last year there was something because for me, I can't turn the sound up because I don't want YouTube, saying, oh, you're playing ESPN's audio. They don't like that. So I have to have all the volume down, and I was watching a pregame countdown, and when it switched over, it must have gone back to a replay of sorts. I kept looking over. I'm like, okay, they're still talking. They're like, yeah, Al, this game's going to be, and I'm just sitting here, game's going on. I have no clue. I have no mother freaking clue. I didn't even see anybody in the chat saying Wick scored a touchdown or anything like that, but I wasn't looking extremely hard. We got a lot of playoff implication stuff to talk about. We got a lot of 2025 to talk about. Jamar Chase going to the mother freaking moon. Is Jamar Chase the number 1 overall pick in 2025? Is it Jahmyr Gibbs? Is it Saquon Barkley? I think the top 3 picks, pretty much consensus, will be Barkley, Jamar Chase, and Gibbs is going to be a bold call for us. I don't know that will be consensus, but I think it will be Barkley and Chase and Barkley. And by the way, a lot of you said, Smitty, I'm really kind of disappointed we can't really punch that Keon Coleman video anymore because I love the bass line. It slaps like a mofo. And so your boy's been hard at work, and I've never been shy about taking one video, even if a player maybe doesn't have the season or the career, and let's not count Coleman out yet, but that we wanted, and we used a really amazing video, like the two fives. We loved that, so I incorporated that into the JD5 when AR5 started to slip. So we went ahead and took the Keon Coleman video, where we reincarnated it. We did the same thing with the Jordan Mason video with Isaac Garendo. So I give you. You never mentioned Derrick Henry, Rudy. He said, I always mentioned Rudy. Hey, Henry, or Rudy, whatever your name is. Rudy, you never mentioned that I mentioned Derrick Henry.
Take a big laugh. We don't need your help.
You know, Grandpa always told me you can please some of the people some of the time, all the people barely some of the time, but you can never please all the people all the time. Smitty, why didn't you mention my grandfather? Smitty, why don't you mention my Aunt Edna? Hey, Smitty, why don't you mention Derrick Henry 7 times an hour instead of talking about him when it's relevant? Like, what do you want me to say? We talk about it all the time, Rudy. All right, I give you, Rudy rudely interrupting, I give you the reincarnated Keon Coleman baseline video, and we're going to cement it into the best stack in fantasy. The Cincinnati Bengals stack, baby. That is the best stack in fantasy, ladies and gentlemen, and it's nice to be able to play that frequently. And, you know, whether we're talking about Chase Brown, whether we're talking about Jamar Chase, whether we're talking about Joe Burrow, regardless, we were able to slap that button and slap that base anytime we want. Jacob's running tough. Jacob says, let me go eat. Tries to get a first down. Third down, Jordan Love looking pretty smooth in this game so far, from what I've seen. I gotta go rewatch. At halftime, I'm gonna have to watch the first 8 minutes. Bijan could be a top 3 pick next year, absolutely. Jamar Chase, and for those that don't know, the Jupiter Men.
The Jupiter Men. Jupiter is so large, every planet in the solar system could fit inside it. There are no bigger monsters than the Jupiter Men.
You can literally fit all of the planets in the solar system. Wait, did I say universe? Let me repeat what I just said. Do I got to redo the audio on that? What did I say there?
The Jupiter Men. Jupiter is so large, every planet in the solar system could fit inside it. There are no bigger monsters than the Jupiter Men.
Just making sure I said that right. This Jupiter is huge. You could put Mars, Earth, Saturn. Every planet can fit into this gas giant right here. And so while distance is a factor in what planet's bigger, stronger, better, the gas giants are progressively, better, stronger as the world, as you exit the Earth's location and head further out into the solar system. The planets are traditionally better as you go, but then you have, Pluto's a dwarf planet. Pluto isn't a planet that we're going to really, dance around. Maybe some bust candidates can go to Pluto. It's really cold. No one wants to go there. People barely know it's there. It's a dwarf planet. We'll have something with Pluto at some point, probably. Planet Uranus, that's just an awful planet, right? So that's where people go to be, to be, I don't know. I don't want to say ridicule, but those are players we don't like. Planet Uranus men are planets that are players that we don't like. We send them there. But Jupiter is going to be the top dog. Jupiter, then Saturn, then Mars, then Moon. Moon is obviously not a planet, but that's the order of the big board. And there's only going to be 5 spots for each to limit and make sure we're actually less numbers than we had last year on the 3 boards. So Here we go. Appreciate you all. We'll be back here. Congrats to anybody that had these guys. We'll be back here after the game to go over not only the game, but talk about 2025. I imagine we'll go, let's potentially do, we can maybe do waivers. We'll do waivers, and then maybe tomorrow I do the top 25 ranking. I think that's what I'll do tomorrow. The top 25 ranking. And on that note, you know where JD5 played football? Does anybody know what college JD5 went to? I'm going to test everybody's knowledge. What college did JD5 attend? Put it in the chat. Let's see how many people get this right. What college did JD5 attend? LSU, wrong, Josh. K Jive, wrong. Blackbeard, LSU, wrong. Wrong. All of these are wrong. See you all later. Good job, Travis. Travis got it. I didn't tell him either.
Get buckied. 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 Oh, Bucky.
Yeah.